the Starbucks furry debacle thing. How about this? I will talk about it and we'll go over it if you help me figure out what flavor Pop-Tart I should eat. I have this whole box of Pop-Tarts and a Switch controller that someone bought for me. Whoever this person is wrote a fucking stellar article, at least from what I briefly read through, for what's going on with Starbucks and how a random fursuiter by the name of Apollo is involved. Which, let me just say, that's a nice fursuit. Also, I love the alternate title that they gave, Puppuccinos for All. Kind of wholesome and sweet, but like the situation from what I'm reading, kind of bad, but what is happening and what this fursuiter is doing actually pretty good. Not pretty good, really good. But let's go over this because I think this is important and I can give some mindset stuff. I can give some pointers about like why things are happening or what's going on or why a fursuiter is at an outing like this. But yeah, seriously though, I can already tell where this might be going, why the Starbucks employee here, ex-employee I think, is in fursuit. And there's a lot to explain here, but either way, let's go over this. Ads everywhere. Can I just... Dude, like, I just want to read the title. I just want to read the title. I want to scroll down and read the title with the image here. Ah, yes! Mugs! My favorite! I love ceramic. Go away, please. Stop seeing this ad. Ad was inappropriate. I'll not show it again, thank you. So let's go over what's going on with the Starbucks furry thing. Ignore all the ads happening here. Fired by Starbucks, union organizer now wears his fursuit to rallies. It gave me more confidence than I have ever had in my entire life, said former Overland Park Starbucks employee Michael Vestigo. I'm assuming that's the name of the fursuiter here. Here's his Twitter. Oh, you have his Twitter. Oh, thank you. So, from what I'm gathering just from this, Apollo was a former Starbucks employee. Oh, this is the whole union busting thing. Yeah, I heard about this. This happened like a couple weeks before this article happened. I remember because my friend was talking to me about it because he works at Starbucks and was talking about how Starbucks is kind of not great at all with what they're doing, and I'm assuming it had to do with the whole union busting thing, which I'm not fully aware what unions are, like as in like the definition of them, so I'm probably gonna look that up after this, so we're gonna learn something together. If you don't know what unions are, I don't know fully what unions are, I just know they're good. But either way, let's read through this article. Also, I'm going to go on the right side of the screen so we can semi-cover up the ads. Michael Vestigo wasn't sure at first if he wanted to bring his fursuit to the union rally in Seattle. Oh, he's a Seattle furry. Oh, he must be living life then. I am envious now. I've always wanted to be a Seattle furry, but money. Starbucks fired Vestigo from the Starbucks store in Overland Park, Kansas on April 1st, a week after he and his co-workers staged a walkout to protest unsafe working conditions and retaliation from management against their unionization efforts. Oh, so fun fact, the one thing that I know at least about unions, because I don't know the context fully what they do, but I know at the very least with workplaces, it's illegal for employers to threaten or manipulate workers to not form unions. So apparently this goes into the whole Starbucks union busting thing where Starbucks is just ending any sort of unionization against Starbucks. It's kind of neat to see that this is the first thing they're doing is just retaliating and also, you know, punishing and threatening workers. Yeah, Starbucks taking an L at the start of this. But a walkout was staged against unsafe working conditions and pretty much just probably shitty management, just shitty managers in general that are just so out of touch with caring about the employees, Starbucks workers. Pretty much the usual. It's unfortunate that it's the usual, but going on. That morning, his manager pulled him aside and fired him effective immediately for displaying violent and threatening behavior. Ah, yes. So threatening. So very threatening. You got him. Very good. That's just funny though. It's like they're displaying threatening and violent behavior. Really? You sure about this? You sure about this, dude? I don't think they're... I don't know about this. But either way, reading on. I'm not that kind of person at all, Vestigo says. He has social anxiety, and in a job review meeting, he cited trouble standing up for myself as a weakness. It's my personal belief that they took that and they basically targeted me because they thought I would just kind of take it lying down, he said. Their tiny store, made up of a small staff in a building that Vestigo describes as the size of a couple of shipping containers, pressed together to make a drive-through and pickup window, won its union vote a week later, on April 8th, making it the first unionized Starbucks in Kansas City. Hell yeah. Okay, so this has a good ending to it. Starting a working union, a worker union for Starbucks. Hell yeah. But from what I'm gathering here, the managers at this Starbucks were very manipulative. Not great. I could already assume so from them saying that they were displaying threatening and violent behavior. Very manipulative, not nice people. I probably wouldn't get a drink with them in general. But yeah, just even saying here that Vistigo has social anxiety, you know, trouble standing up for himself, and was targeted because of that. Kind of plays into the whole thing with fursuits, wearing fursuits, being a furry, so on and so forth, and I'll talk about this in a bit of what I'm thinking. So here's the picture. This is adorable. Ah, yes, threatening behavior. Another example from management of threatening behavior, by the way. Shocking. I'm scared. I definitely don't want to give him a big hug right now. Call him a good boy and give him pats. No, I don't want to do that. I want to run in fear. Haha. Seriously though, if this is the first defense point that fucking any manager or any higher up at Starbucks has against any employee at Starbucks, you know they're already taking the L to begin with. You know they're already wrong. So, point being, they won a union vote. I'm not really sure how that works, so I'm probably going to research this after this again, but still. He's mean and scary and he'll beat you up. Ah, yes. So terrifying. New dredge killer from Dead by Daylight? Get that shit out of here. I love it. Anyways, in videos from the Seattle rally in mid-April, where hundreds of people came out to support Starbucks workers' national unionization movement, Vistigo addresses a crowd as Apollo, his Arctic Wolf persona. Tell me, does this look violent and threatening? See? I didn't even know this part was happening and I already could tell. I'm like, how is this violent and threatening? Also, like, I don't think asking for, like, you know, more rights as a worker and help as a worker at Starbucks is necessarily threatening. Another thing as well, this is why, like, I just don't trust managers or like CEOs or anything like that, because it just, is it me, or do they just seem so detached from how people live that they think that, oh, everyone's just greedy and wants more money and doesn't want to work? Am I the only one that like thinks that managers have this mindset? Because it's very much speaking numbers here. It's threatening to the shareholders. Oh, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, that's just what it is. I look at some managers and I just see like so out of touch with how people are and how people are living and struggling to live, especially if you're working, like, if the only thing you have is working at Starbucks, that is a struggle to live, at least from what I understand. But point being, yeah, not the nicest, best people on the planet. Either way. Oh, there's a video. Ooh. I want to watch this. So this is from Apollo's account. So while I was in Seattle, I took part in a union campaigning aiming to unionize Starbucks. This was such a fantastic experience. I'm overjoyed and ever thankful for the experience. I will forever stand in solidarity with the working class. So they put a video up and I'm kind of curious. I want to watch this. I want to watch this video.
Hello, my name is Michael Vesta.
Wow.
Right now you can call me Apollo.
Aww.
I was hired on Starbucks.
I love whoever that was in the back. Did anyone else hear that? Whoever that was in the back is just like, I love that. Seriously, you can make whatever argument you want about this being an unprofessional protest, but I mean, I think this speaks numbers with taking something that you have as a community and having that represent more towards what you're fighting for. And we'll talk about this in a bit, but I want to watch the rest of this video before I go into my argument, because, like, this is great.
Hello, my name is Michael Vestigo. Right now, you can call me Apollo.
He is fucking adorable.
Starbucks on November 2nd, 2020, and I had been with the company for about a year and a half. Then, on April 1st, like a bad April Fool's Day joke, I was fired from the company for being supposedly violent and threatening.
Here's the thing as well. If they at all said it was an April Fool's joke, like, April Fools, you're not fired, that is still manipulation in the workplace, and you can take that to HR, or you can potentially get something legal going on. I'm just saying, if they ever did this, because I saw this on April 1st as well, of like, employers were pulling that shit of like, you're fired. It's like, oh wait, where'd you go? It's like, yeah, boss man, you kind of just played yourself. This is why I don't like April 1st, because people are stressed enough as is in this day and age. Still, this is wholesome. We'll talk about how this is actually very impactful and important after.
Tell me, does this look violent and threatening? Absolutely
You're not violent and threatening. I want to hug you.
When they asked me what some of my weaknesses were, I told them that I have a difficult time standing up for myself.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
they targeted me. I believe they targeted me for this termination. They turned around and called me violent and threatening, but kept me in the store for 3 weeks? I don't think so. You don't keep someone who's violent and threatening.
See what I mean?
on the floor
Manipulative.
for 3
Manipulative
weeks.
workplace.
It doesn't make any sense. And the message I come bearing today is one of power. I want to let everybody know, all the small people out there, for Starbucks, for other workers, for other jobs, corporations, whatever. It does not matter how big or how small you are.
You know, I'm just gonna say, I know Apollo says he's like socially anxious and has a hard time like standing up for himself. He's doing great right now. Let me just say, like, as someone who has done like public speaking like this, he's doing fantastic right now. Like, he's doing a good job. I don't know, like, I'm just saying, you're doing great, sweetie. I just want you to know you are doing great. I know this is like, I think a month ago or so, but still, Polly's doing great.
As evidenced by the Roastery and Amazon, you can organize a large number of people to unionize against these corporations.
I know, props to him. Literally, props to Apollo for not only being able to speak like this, but speaking in fursuit too. Doing, like, going out here in fursuit, pretty much just encapsulating that you are a furry and you do this and you enjoy this, along with, like, standing up for rights. That is so extremely impressive.
Maybe had 16 people. We had 16 baristas, and we organized, and we went on strike after another coworker was accused of stealing $20,000 over the course of 8 months. So
How the fuck do you do that? How do you even calculate that? I don't want to even know what kind of mental gymnastics are going on with these, like, employers, these, not the employees, but the managers, the higher ups. I think they're just trying to create issues with it or not. I don't know. Either way, manipulation tactics, fear, kind of making sense now.
we organized and we went on strike. And even though we may be small, that day we filled up that parking lot with members of the community, with other labor unions.
There you go.
Right, from the community. So that is my message for everybody. Don't be afraid to unionize. You have the support. You have the power.
Wow. That was really fucking inspirational and wholesome. Inspirational and wholesome. Very wholesome at the same time. Props to Apollo on that. I know it probably took a lot of courage to, like, get up there and talk and speak like that, but big fucking props to him for doing that. But that was the video linked in here. It's a little bit more with this article. Actually, a lot more with this article. So I'm going to read the rest of it, and then I'm going to talk about what I wanted to talk about with regards to what the whole fursuiting thing was and what that, like, sort of means. Because there were some arguments that people had about how, oh, why are you going to a union rally and looking so, like, unprofessional and not wanting anything to change by wearing a fursuit of, like, blah, 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 like, arguing that it's just not great. It's not a good view for what you're fighting for. When in reality, it's the exact opposite. It, if nothing else, enforces what you're fighting for. I saw some arguments on Twitter. I couldn't find them, but I want to find them again to roast them. But if you find any, let me know. But still, Apollo did a great job. Massive fucking kudos and respect to him. But going on from there, he's one of the several now former Starbucks workers who claim the company fired them for helping organize union drives at their stores. You're allowed to do, oh my God, am I actually going to go in and hold on. Am I actually going to go and look at, like, what are worker unions? Because I remember seeing somewhere specifically that you cannot threaten, legally, you cannot threaten employees from forming labor unions. You cannot threaten them to do it. You can disencourage them, but you can't. Hold on. I'm gonna read through this. This is something called unionplus.org that I found. It is legal for employers to try to persuade employees not to unionize. However, it is legal for an employer to prevent employees from unionizing through threats, violence, and other coercive actions. Okay, so real quick, I know we're straying from what I wanted to do, but I want to go over what a union is, because there might be some confusion with that. I wasn't necessarily sure what a union is. I know my mom, when she worked as a nurse, she was one of the heads of the unions for the hospital she worked at, but I didn't know really what that was. All I really understood was that she tried to help get more rights and support for the workers because the higher ups were so out of touch with what needed to be done, with how things were going, so on and so forth. Just want to go over it, and please let me know if any of this is wrong, if I need to look at another article, but this is the first thing that came up. What is a union? A labor union or trade union is an organized group of workers who unite to make decisions about conditions affecting their work. Labor unions strive to bring economic justice to the workplace and social justice to our nation. So pretty much it's just a group of employees that help work for getting better rights for the company, for employees. It's just helping bridge the gap between what employers think that employees need and what employees actually need. But in this case, unions are a good thing. If that's the big question anyone has, are unions good or bad? Unions are a good thing. Benefits of belonging to a union. The main reason to join a union are higher pay, better benefits, and a voice on the job. As a union member, you have a collective voice regarding things such as pay and wages, work hours, benefits, including but not limited to retirement plans, health insurance, vacation, and sick leave and tuition reimbursement. Workplace health and safety, and ways to balance work and family. So it's just supposed to make working not entirely unbearable, helping to fight for being safe and healthy while in a work environment, having a safe and healthy work environment. Unions can be bad, but it is very difficult for that to happen. True. Oh, that explains why my mom might have left her union, at least managing it. I don't know. Either way, unions can be bad, but more often than not, they are good. They're supposed to fight for the rights of the workers. So this is where I read, which I was very confused about, how to form a union. If you look in section 2, and this is not, I don't think this is legal advice or anything. I'm not giving legal advice, just disclosure. It is legal for employees to try to persuade employees not to unionize. However, it is illegal for an employer to prevent employees from unionizing through threats, violence, and other coercive action. If they were fired on the grounds of unionizing, then that is a legal battle, potentially. I'm not giving legal advice, but this is just from what I'm reading. And this also could just be a website that gives disinformation. I don't fully know. But this is at least from what I understand. So you form a union and there's all this other information about it. But that's more or less what I wanted to cover of like what unions are and what you're allowed to do and what you can't do, or what employers aren't allowed to do. And very clearly, Starbucks employers aren't really doing the best thing at all. Kind of sad and oof. Big oof. If a union gains too much control over a company, they can demand more pay and more time off, which can hurt the company, and then everyone is out of a job. But again, this is very unlikely. That is true. I know there's also just a process for it as well, at least from what I'm reading here, a CBA, a collective bargaining agreement made between the employer or the higher ups at a company and the employees. It's a lot of negotiation and bargaining and agreeing to certain things. So in the end, I see this as an absolute win. Back to the article. So they got fired because they were helped organizing union drives. That kind of pissed me off because I know that you can't do that. You literally, I mean, you can fire someone for any reason, unfortunately, in this day and age. Unfortunately, you can. And most like hiring agreements, like contracts that you sign, do have a clause that does say that, at least from what I've known, from when I've been employed. But like, yeah, this is sort of a case of employers being shitty. It fired at least 18 pro-union employees between February and April, and the number is still rising. The National Labor Relations Board filed a complaint against Starbucks this month, alleging the company has wrongfully fired dozens of organizers. Starbucks' union-busting tactics are blatant, from flyers citing fake tweets to closing entire stores when they started organizing. So yeah, Starbucks being shitty. Wow, I'm gonna stop buying you for a while. According to Vestigo, Seattle City Council member Hishama Sawant invited himself and several other workers to Seattle to join the multi-day gathering of labor leaders and other workers in the movement to meet and participate in marches and rallies. During that trip, Seattle's Starbucks Reserve Roastery won its union vote unanimously the day before the big rally. Wait, did they? Oh, he's not from Seattle. He's from Kansas. I'm the fucking idiot. I thought he was in Kansas City. Wait, is he from Kansas City or is he from Seattle? They mention Seattle a lot of times, so I'm like, wait a minute. I know where the Starbucks Reserve is. I know the Starbucks Reserve in Seattle. Oh, the Starbucks HQ is in Seattle. Gotcha. He's from Kansas City. I'm a forehead. Beta has a forehead moment. That's pretty much what happens. But going on from there, you got a unanimous vote for a labor union. Yeah. While I was in Seattle doing all this work, you can't read it. Sorry. Oh, wait. Right side of the screen. Sorry. While I was in Seattle doing all this work, I started to gain confidence because I was just so sure of what I was doing and so proud of what we were doing, Vestigo said. He'd worn the suit at the Overland Park strike but this was a much bigger event. He checked with the organizers to make sure it was okay, and they were in full support, he said. So it was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. Holding a microphone at a large labor rally in the hometown of the company he was helping unionize was a moment he wouldn't forget. I was like, how? How did I get here? He said. To be there, fully expressing myself and speaking up about something that I was so passionate about, and seeing that garner any amount of attention was an awesome feeling. It gave me more confidence than I've ever had in my entire life. And there he is again. Look at him. I like this. I love it. Ooh, Wendy's. I'm hungry. I want some Wendy's. But still, we'll talk about, you know, how having the fursuit is a good thing here. We'll talk about that after we read through this article. But there's Apollo. He's fucking adorable. And there he is again. Look at him. I love that. And also another thing, he asked if it was okay to go to like a bigger event like that to see if it was like all good for him to wear it in fursuit. To go to the event and go in fursuit and wear it and speak in fursuit. Yeah, all that. He asked about it and they were in support of it. So that's a bit of context with that. Aside from his own part in the day, Vestigo said he had hoped going as Apollo would represent the diversity of the movement. I think one of the things that makes a movement so beautiful is the fact that we can all be united despite our differences, he said. I think it's very important to acknowledge that we are very different people, but we are part of the same machine, and we deserve to be treated with respect no matter who we are. Okay, you already said what I was gonna pretty much say. So yeah, the point of what I was going to discuss of why the fursuit was a good thing, like why representing himself in his fursuit as a furry at this movement was a good thing, was because it diversifies. It's because it shows that, hey, there are different people from different ways of life with different hobbies and interests that are a part of this big machine that is employees, employers, so on and so forth. And so they should be treated with respect and such. The other thing as well, which I was going to say, which might be a bit of a minute detail, is that wearing the fursuit or showing off that you are a furry, you are a part of the furry fandom, furry community, shows that that community has support for what you're doing. It doesn't directly say like, oh, the furry fandom has your support, but it's showing that, hey, I am part of this community that believes this as well. So it's also representing not the furry fandom, but the furry fandom is someone, in this case, representing workers' rights for unions. That's what I was gonna say. Also, there's the other idea of like, you know, wearing a fursuit or some sort of mask helps with social anxiety. I say that as I have that sort of issue too. It helps with talking and speaking. But the point is, the fursuit's a good thing. I don't see the fursuit and wearing it as an absolute, like, nowhere close to a bad thing. It's nothing but a good thing and just shows more representation for what you're fighting for. Because it shows that outside of work, you're a person with this hobby, you're a person with this interest. And there's nothing wrong with it, and two, it shows that that community is a big part of your life. So I see it as a good thing. And that's sort of the argument that I was going for before. Anyways, moving on. I think this is the last part. Now, Vestigo is fighting to get his job back. He's filed a complaint with the National Labor Relations Board and hopes to get back to work soon. Ultimately, that's what I want to do. I really loved working for Starbucks. My team was a second family. They're all amazing people, and I just loved working there. See, that's all it was. You know, just ultimately that's the thing about most fucking employers. They're so out of touch. They see like worker unions as like, oh, they don't want to work and they're lazy and they just want money. The employees want to work. Like they like the job they have. They just want it to be a bit better. You know, it's just so out of touch. The employers are just so out of touch with like humanity. You know? But still, that's just what it comes down to. That last bit sort of just should drive it home. It's like, we still want to work here. We just want safer environments. We just want better pay. We want to live, not be slaves to the workforce, you know? So that's all it really comes down to. And that's more so what I was trying to at least show with this whole article, which shout out to, who wrote this? Samantha Cole? I don't know who she is, but she wrote a good article. Realistically, like, this is a really, really good article. Very well written. But going to Apollo's page real quick. This is Apollo's Twitter if you want to go and show him support, because like, he's fighting for something that I haven't done jack shit to help with. He's fighting for an amazing cause, and he is, wow, it's impressive to see like members of the furry fandom be so open and forward and outgoing about this, but also fighting for something that's a very real issue. I like him. And hey, look, he pinned the tweet. My name is Apollo, and I am the same Apollo that appears in these articles. I've been doing some thinking, and I might do a Q&A on Twitch to answer questions anyone might have. It's been really crazy to see the support from everyone. Oh, okay. So they're on Twitch if you want to go and support them. I don't know where their Twitch account is. Oh, there's their Twitch. Yeah. I don't know. If anyone wants to go and support him, feel free. Oh, he plays Lego. Okay, you know, he's got good taste in games, at least. Lego Star Wars. Oh, and then he does the Union Q&A. Okay, so he does some Q&A on his stream, and he also does some just games. So go and show him some support if he does, if you want to. If you want to, but still. Honestly, though, I think this whole thing is just neat. I think this is nothing but a good thing. And I'm not even looking at this through the lens of like, oh, this is good for the furry fandom. No, this is an example of the furry fandom being in support for something that's a very real human issue. I think this is absolutely nothing but a good thing. I think it's absolutely something we all should be partaking in and helping with. So that's why I'm trying to at least boost this a little bit, you know, boost him a little bit, because he's a good voice. He's a good voice for something that I'm not even speaking about fully. So go and support him if you can. Either way, I more or less wanted to go over this whole article, this whole debacle, because honestly, it's just a really interesting thing, and I think it's a way to show a more human side to like furries, because we don't really do that much. I know I've been arguing and like ranting about this, but like furries do have a tendency to look at just the fursona, just the fursuit. I mean, even I did in the video that we saw all the articles and whatnot, and even just that's just how it is. You look at the fursuit, the fursona, that's kind of just what the furry fandom has for a viewing standpoint, but like a lot of times that's only what is focused on: the materials, the fursuit, the character behind the person, and there's less of a focus on like the human aspects, like how someone is, who someone is outside of the character. And that's what's being shown here. You know, you can claim up and down that the fursuit was a bad thing. I think it was a great thing. I think it very much helped the furry fandom in the sense of humanizing furries a bit more, but also showing that the furries and the furry fandom have Apollo's back, and I definitely do. So if he needs me for anything, tell him he can reach out to me. I'm happy to help with whatever I can, because this is just like, this is exactly kind of like what I want to show off more. The human side, the people side to furry. And I think that's absolutely a good thing.